How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back into the SFS channel. My name is Gavin, and today we are jumping right into an Underdog Fantasy mock draft here, or this is a best ball draft for 2022 fantasy football, but for your purposes, it'll be a mock draft style content. We'll be picking a team today, 12 teams, 18 rounds, half PPR format, and of course, as always, if you guys are new around here, make sure to drop down, leave a like, and click that subscribe button. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see from me next here. If you've got any fancy questions or anything you want me to dive into down there, let me know. We're about 15 seconds away from draft start here. If you guys are interested in doing a draft like this with me in the future here this summer, joining leagues with me, head over to Underdog Fantasy and sign up using promo code SFS. That'll get you a free access to my draft guide on sizzlefantasy.com. Through this season's Super Bowl, it looks like we are a later pick here in the first round. Again, that's promo code SFS, and on my email service, SFS Weekly, where I send you guys a free article every week. You'll get access to all those articles and everything if you use code SFS on Underdog. But every week I post in there what league I'm currently filling for Underdog Fantasy. So if you guys are looking to join a league with me, you can do that easily there. So, end of the draft here now. We've got Jonathan Taylor, Justin Jefferson. Wow, the second pick overall. That's interesting to see. A little bit of a shake-up to the board there. CMC goes 3. Cooper Kupp goes 4. Pretty decent value, actually, getting Cooper Kupp at 4 for a guy who actually, every once in a while and actually is a pretty strong pick to go second overall. He's definitely got a higher floor than CMC does, at least with recent injury track record. Both of those guys have had their struggles throughout their career. Obviously, Cooper Kupp had the ACL. What was that? Back in 2018. CMC's played 10 games the last 2 years. You've got all that great stuff to kind of sift through and work through here. But today, I am super, super excited to dive into this draft with you all because it's been a good minute since I've done a mock draft here. I just haven't quite had the time. These videos take a good hour or so to sit down and record, and then, another 20, 30 minutes or so to edit these up. And then my internet here is not phenomenal, so when I try and upload them, it takes forever. So they're a bit time consuming, but I really have a lot of fun doing them. And we've got a situation where ADP has changed a great deal since I last recorded a video, so things should be getting spiced up here and changed up a little bit. I am 100%, without a doubt, going to get a player that I'm super excited about here at the top of the board. Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, all guys I am extremely, extremely happy to have on my team, regardless of how this plays out today. So there's a chance I could get 2 of those 3 players. If not, I'm going to have some really good choices to make here at the top of the second round. So, liking where things went today. And actually, I would argue that things played to my benefit here with that Dalvin Cook selection. I prefer Najee Harris over Dalvin Cook. If you didn't know that, go check out my Najee Harris versus Dalvin Cook ADP battle video, where I essentially do a deep dive into the 2 players' situations and fantasy values for the season. And we're either getting DeAndre Swift or Joe Mixon here. So we're going to start with 2 really strong running backs. I would prefer Swift, and we're going to have the pick of both of them. I've been drafting a lot of shares of each of these players, and actually I do want to make sure that I'm not about to draft. Okay, I just want to check the bye weeks one more time, so we weren't going to totally get fudged there. Swift is a guy that I have ranked as a top 5 running back for this season. Now, you may say that's crazy. However, what I will say alongside with that is I'm never drafting him with a top 5 pick because I know that I can get him falling down here to me at the 14th pick overall. It's a phenomenal value in my book for a guy with such great PPR upside. This is a player who was tops in the league, not top overall, but I believe he was top 3. I want to say he was second in RB target share last year. I got to pull those numbers quick, but a guy who is phenomenally involved in the receiving game, has tremendous opportunity for touchdown progression, meaning improvements from his past season numbers. And for a guy who's only played 13 games in each of his two first NFL seasons, I think the opportunity is there where you've still got a very young player with very fresh legs that can give us a lot of upside. So I'll pop this draft board up for you guys so you can take a look and see what's really going on here. We'll take a look at some of the biggest ADP movers here. I'm definitely shocked to see Davante Adams go all the way up there at the 1-7. Fun fact, he actually just got named a 99 overall member of the 99 club for Madden 23. Has absolutely no effect on fantasy football aside from the fact that he is a dominant player. I'm really interested to see Davante Adams this season. I've got kind of the devil's advocate within me that, doesn't like him as much because there's more target competition in Las Vegas. But at the same time, I think him and Derek Carr are still going to crush it. I think Derek Carr is going to give him plenty of looks. But I don't think it can be nearly as good as Green Bay was, just because Adams was going north of a 30% target share the last 2 seasons when he finished as the wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 in fantasy points per game. So I think that some regression is due here, especially a guy entering into his age 30 season. But I think Adams will still be pretty good. Definitely would not be looking to take him there at the 7th overall pick, though. CeeDee Lamb goes in the first round here at the 112. That's interesting to me. I'm a very big CeeDee Lamb guy, but obviously with my liking of those running backs, that's probably not somewhere I was going to go. Saquon's ADP has really surged here. I remember I was getting him in the early 4th or even late 3rd round of drafts earlier on this spring and then super early on this summer. So he's definitely a guy to keep your eye on. Went with the first pick overall in the 2nd round. So very high draft capital investment there. And then Alvin Kamara is someone who is seeing his stock fall a little bit. This is an interesting start to the draft here for this team at the 1-2, or excuse the 1-2 here. AK could be a very, very good half PPR running back if he's able to get out there and play games. But I think there might be a decent-sized suspension looming simply for the fact that he just, that video is pretty dang bad with him and, his, I think it was his security team at the Pro Bowl last year that ended up stomping some guy out to try to get in the elevator with them. I don't know the exact specifics of it. At one point I watched a video trying to figure out more about the situation, but the point being is that he got in some legal trouble and might end up seeing a small to 4 to 6 game suspension maybe. That's the risk with AK. That's why his ADP has dipped a little bit after some reports came out about that expected suspension time. 3 picks to start off the 3rd round that I do not like at all. Nick Chubb, AJ Brown, and Javonte Williams. There we go. Like that pick of DJ Moore. I would have went DJ over AJ. For the purpose of this, I probably would have went Keenan Allen as well, but this is best ball, so you're definitely getting more upside out of AJ Brown. That's no question there. Let's see here. I should pop back in the board here and just kind of walk through who I might be targeting. I would love starting off this video with a really good positional advantage with a Kyle Pitts here to pair along with these 2 elite upside running backs. I could also, you're seeing Travis Etienne's ADP surge as well. I would be absolutely ecstatic if a guy like a Michael Pittman will follow me here. There goes Kyle Pitts, so that's not going to happen. Breece Hall's ADP is on the move too. It's interesting. I really don't want to go Josh Allen here. Where exactly is... See, this is a little too early to be drafting a player like... I could go just absolutely absurdly RB heavy here and pick Breece Hall at the 311. I think hopefully I'll get Michael Pittman. If not, I could go Mike Williams and get a super high ceiling play there. And then we'll see what happens at that 4-2 spot, because there are a variety. Okay, there goes Pittman. And I'm actually super high on Jerry Jeudy, so I wouldn't mind reaching up here above his ADP and selecting him over Brown, Waddle, Sutton, McLaurin. I, again, am abnormally high on Jerry Jeudy. I have him as my wide receiver 17. I literally just updated my rankings last night. And when you take a look at the fact of the matter is, all right, so it looks like, I can't really take... Okay, the fact that James Conner is still there kind of throws an awkward wrench in my plans here, because I do have him as my highest ranked player on the board. I'm going to go ahead and start off with 3 running backs here, and then I'm literally not going to have to address the position later because of the fact that I have such good value there. It feels kind of gross in a best ball draft doing that, but this is probably the best RB room for the first 3 picks I've started with here this season. There's really little to no incentive for me going, this is just a travesty here. Actually, I didn't notice that Deontay Johnson was still there. I might go Deontay as my wide receiver 1 here. I feel like this is a really high floor team, but I'm not loving my ceiling so far. I can't bring it upon myself to go back into the well for Breece Hall and go 4 straight running backs. I would have a phenomenal floor there. Honestly, this draft is turning out kind of awkward. I don't hate the start, but we're going to definitely need to address some ceiling later on. Of course, these running backs have ceiling, but a lot of times if you're looking for league-winning upside, look no further than the wide receiver spot. It's just plain and simple the easiest place to find players that can find very large roles within their offenses. So we didn't land Jerry Jeudy. I didn't notice that Deontay Johnson was kind of sneaking through the board there earlier. I'm actually getting higher and higher on Deontay Johnson. The more I assess the Pittsburgh situation, the more comfortable I feel with his usage and ability to be a productive player in that offense once again. Probably not a guy like, you look back at here and, Hollywood's got a higher ceiling than Deontay Johnson. It's plain and simple. Better quarterback play, better vertical threat. Pittman, Mike Williams definitely have more ceiling value associated with them. I see Deontay Johnson similar to the way I see Keenan Allen, and that's a guy who's just going to get a lot of targets. And yes, I'm still very confident that Deontay will be the lead target player in Pittsburgh despite the quarterback change. And again, Keenan Allen's a guy who has an awesome floor. He is a consistency machine, a consistency king, if you will. But he's not really someone that you expect to go out there and win your week. He's more so someone you're not really worrying about. And that's where I'm starting to get, it's very early in this draft. There's no need to panic here. And I'm very comfortable with the directions and the picks we chose to go with here. But again, there is an adjustment that I at least am conscious of trying to make here. Rashad Bateman would be a beautiful wide receiver too for this team. Juju Smith-Schuster, Darnell Mooney. See, there's plenty of options at the wide receiver position. So honestly, it doesn't hurt to go running back early. Because there's still a lot of those players. The 5th and 6th round to me are just gold mines at the wide receiver position this year. If you guys do end up signing up for code or with code SFS on Underdog and getting those draft guides, or if you go check out, I'll probably pin a comment in the comment section. I'll put a card up there as well to head over to our draft guide pricing page. There's 3 different options to get that access. It's a monthly subscription or I just added, it's called the All Access Pass, which is actually, you'll get thrown on when you sign up with Underdog. It's just site-wide access through the Super Bowl. So your membership will expire on February 13th, 2023. One of the things you'll get access to are my must-own players in rounds 1 through 20. So a really roundabout way of getting to that destination. Wow. But the point being is that the 5th and 6th round, I've just got absolutely checkered with wide receivers that I am in love with. And we've added really cool functionality where I've got, instead of just like listing off names, I've got like their player banner up on the screen, and then you can just click on it and it'll take you straight to their player profile, where we've got over 300 of those live in the site with trade values, pros and cons of both their skills and their situations, age, contract status, injury history, all that great stuff. Tons of stuff in that draft guide, over 500 pages of content. So again, code SFS or check out those links. We're still 10 picks away here. We've got a lot of stuff that could happen. Jeudy is, without a question of the doubt, not going to be there. I would be elated. His ADP right now is 412. That's why I didn't want to reach up and take him too early. He is my guy. But someone is going to land themselves a potentially league-winning player in this draft far later than I would let him go off the board. Like I said, had things played out a little differently, and let's say Deontay Johnson wasn't still on the table, I definitely would have taken Jeudy, and there he goes at the 5-4. So let's take a look at Ninja's team here. Wow. That is pretty snazzy, but it's also, hang on, I don't want it on my team. Go back. 5 straight receivers. That is a hellacious amount of upside. Now, this is the utmost level of RB0. Literally, you're in the RB dead zone right now where the running backs are just gross. Like, I just don't like drafting these players at all. You can debate me about that, but I just feel much more comfortable on either side of this kind of dead zone. I want the late round flyers, the whole lot of upside, or I just want to check those boxes early and get me some star-studded options like I went ahead and did in this draft. But holy cow, that team has Cooper Kupp. I don't know if you guys can see it or if I'm blocking it on your screen. So it's Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, DJ Moore, A-Rob, and then Jerry Jeudy. So, twist my arm. I'll take that group. Okay, if Chris Godwin falls here, it looks like it's going to be Juju or Chris Godwin. I could maybe get both. I would actually, the instant impact of a Juju would be optimal here. It's not essential, but it would be very much accepted. Let's just put it that way. So we got one pick. We're gonna get one of them at least. I'll get Mooney as well if that doesn't work out. I'd prefer Juju here though. Just the opportunity to be a well-rounded player in an offense led by Patrick Mahomes is extremely attractive. The fact that you've got 159 targets vacated from Tyreek Hill. I talked about this a little bit in yesterday's video, which was 3 rookie wide receiver sleepers. Spoiler alert, we talked through some Sky Moore. If you want the in-depth analysis of that, just go check out that video on the channel. Perfect. Here we go. We're going Juju. Fingers crossed here. If I can land Chris Godwin, once he comes back healthy, gets his legs underneath him, oh mama, I'll be happy about this team. Of course, you guys, I invite you to let me know your thoughts on my drafting today. If you guys would have done something different, let me know, and let me know why you would have done that. Of course, I'm always happy to discuss fantasy football with you guys. This is my passion. I love doing this stuff for you guys every single day. That's why I pour countless hours of effort into content here on YouTube and TikTok. Go check out my TikTok account if you have not done so already. It's just at Sizzle Fantasy Sports. I post one player profile on there every day. Let's go. Honestly, what were you thinking, Kev, I'm guessing this is like Kev, LA Rams 299. Come on, my man. You cannot be picking Russell Gage, and Russell Gage is going to have a great start to the season, but Chris Godwin is that dude come time when he's mentally and physically prepared to go. So that was a home run, smash and a half of a draft right there. We got him at ADP value, 62 overall. I could not be more happy with how things turned out here. This has been kind of a weird draft. If you look at some of the picks and the non-ADP directions that people have gone in today's draft, it's really interesting. You've got situations where, let's check out this team. So we still got 0 running backs over here. That's, of course, fun to see. I do kind of like this. I'm not huge on Gabe Davis or Brandon Cooks. I think Gabe Davis is awesome. I'm just not huge on him in the 4th round. Let's clarify that there. And his ADP is actually like the 4. We just talked about him the other day too. I want to say it's the 4-1, like literally on the brink of becoming a pick that high in the draft. Without a question of a doubt, I am the most RB heavy team in today's draft. 3 potential top 12 backs on one roster. Now, I'm just going to go out here and say it. One of these 3 guys probably won't finish in the top 12. It looks great on paper. It looks great for draft value, but one of these guys will probably flop, and that's the frustrating thing about fantasy and about the running back position. But the good news is that, most times you'll only get 2 of those players, and, maybe only one of them hits in that instance. I feel really, really good about that group, though. The opportunity will certainly be there. It's just going to come down to health. And then, wow, my man Ninja going with Kyler Murray, really fading the crap out of that position group at running back. And you know what? Kyler Murray gives him more of a positional advantage than Antonio Gibson. So I'm not going to fault him whatsoever for going that direction there. We're still 12 picks away. I'll pop this board back up one more time. Super happy with the top 3 running backs and receivers. I'll probably fade tight end and try to go with like an Irv Smith, or maybe if it comes down to it, a Dawson Knox possibly. The reason I say that, because his ADP is higher, but I do like waiting on tight ends just because I feel like in these best ball formats, if I can just get 2 guys with relatively good upside, I'll play the coin flip. I'll hope that one of them is at least decent on a given week. We are approaching the 7th round here. We do have a really late 7th round pick and a high 8th round pick. This is prime territory right now based off of ADP to scoop up a guy like a Tom Brady, who I just talked about yesterday on TikTok. I did about an hour and a half. I probably would fall out of my chair and fall asleep if I talked about one player for an hour and a half straight in one video. I'm sure you guys would probably be knocked out by about 10 minutes. But what we're talking here is a minute and a half of TB12 content. I talked through the situation, why he's a great draft value. Go check that video out. Essentially, the moral of the story, the Bucs were the number 1 passing offense in the league. And guess what? If I can get a TB12 Chris Godwin stack here, money, money, money. I'll take that all day. Chris Godwin was in the top 10 in receptions and targets last year, with missing a handful of games because he had that ACL injury late in the season. So I want to check. I know for sure he was top 10 in receptions. Maybe he fell off in targets. He had 128 targets. I do know that for a fact. I've talked through these guys so much that like bits and pieces of their statistical measurements from doing all those draft profiles sticks in my mind because I'm always writing down, those 300 player profiles we've got in the draft guide. I'm, analyzing that stuff and working up these documents. It's not really a document, but it's a web page for each of these players for you guys to get the most important stats, areas where they stick out as positives, areas where they're obviously having negative markers, analyzing their, use case in their offenses and all that great stuff. So I've got like a bajillion players just jumbled and mashed together in my mind. But I do know that 128 target marker is there for certain. I can actually probably just pull it up on my phone so I don't have to take you guys off the screen here. I'll keep talking while I do this though so that you guys aren't just sitting through dead silence. We are 4 picks away. Allen Lazard off the table here. I will mark Tom Brady because I do think that would be a really good pick for this team. I'm kind of interested in a Christian Kirk or Kadarius Toney. Treylon Burks is another guy whose ADP has fallen down quite significantly. I'm actually, it's kind of interesting. It's like as my opinions gradually start to change here, I feel like the ADP is just kind of mimicking my thought process, but obviously I have absolutely nothing to do with it. I think it's just a community-wide opinion shift. Sorry, I'm watching this board very closely. I'm not even looking anything up right now just because I'm very curious to see. And they left Tom Brady for us. So his ADP is the 7-12 overall pick. We have the 7-11 pick. And let's see. Just for giggles. Okay, I'm not going to find him. Where is he at? There he is. Kevin's got Josh Allen. He's probably not going to pick any guy we're looking for here. All right, I could be wrong and get totally burned here, but I'll take Christian Kirk with this pick. He's got Josh Allen, so if he picks Tom Brady, I would be just totally shocked. There goes Kadarius Toney, so maybe that would have been Christian Kirk had I not picked him there. Russ is technically still the player with the higher draft value. I have Russell Wilson and Tom Brady ranked very, very closely to one another, but what I will tell you here is that I do want to play that stack. So despite the fact that Russ is there, I believe I've got Russ in my rankings, again, on the draft guide, on like the big board rankings with all positions mashed together. I think I've got Russ like 2 or 3 slots ahead of TB12 because, again, I'm very high on Tom. But to me, having that Chris Godwin stack makes it a bit more attractive and interesting to make this selection. So that is what we're going to do here, and we are going to address that need. Now, the only spot we don't have filled is tight end, and I feel really good about these top 4 receivers. These top 3 running backs are really nice as well. And again, adding TB12 to the fold is something that I like a lot. So before we do any more yapping, I'm going to go dive into those Chris Godwin numbers really quick. PlayerProfiler.com, not Pro Football Focus, is a really great tool if you guys just want some quick stats and analytics. One thing I've thought about doing for the draft guide is tossing together like the best fantasy tools for finding like analytical markers. And this will easily be one that I toss in there. They've got a ton of free information that you can just go look up these data charts or whatever. So that's what I like to use for those of you guys that are interested in that kind of stuff. But Godwin was 128 targets last season, 9.1 targets per game. So that's pretty elite territory right there. Playing in that big slot role, he's a really nice safety blanket for Tom as well. And that's why guys like Russell Gage, I think, so much. Because Russell Gage projects really nicely to fill into kind of that underneath and intermediate route role while we're still waiting for Chris Godwin to recover. So I understand the Russell Gage hype. I'm a guy who really likes Russell Gage. I was a huge proponent for Russell Gage as a Falcon, and now I think he'll do really nicely on the Bucs. I actually had him stashed deep on the bench in one of my dynasty leagues, and I'm super excited about that because he's like my 3rd or 4th option to go in a flex, which it's a 3 flex league. We're adding a super flex next season. So what we did is essentially we voted to change it from a 1 QB league to a super flex league, and we gave the league 2 periods worth of time, so 2 whole draft classes of rookies, so this past draft and then the 2022 class, to start addressing that need and to start adjusting basically to the value change of positions, so it wasn't just like some shocker and immediate, like, sweeping guys off their feet that thought they were going to be contenders, but now they don't have elite quarterback play. Basically, we paced that out so guys had enough transition period time. But basically, what's happening here is 9.1 time. We're talking about Russell Gage in my flex spots. Back to Chris Godwin here. Basically, what you're getting is a guy who, at face value, his 21.3% target share number doesn't look very nice, but it's the number one passing volume offense in the league. So those targets and that smaller target share in a higher volume passing offense goes further than it would, say, in the Eagles offense. You could have a 35% share of the Philadelphia Eagles passing offense, but when that team, I am really sorry, guys. I should have popped this board up for you guys. I've been talking too much. When, the Eagles are the number one team in team run plays per game, their passing numbers just naturally are going to be less than what they would be here in Tampa. He was 10th in reception, so I was correct about that. He was top 10 in that metric. And then targets. What was he ranked in targets? 17th, so I was right. I knew he wasn't top 10 in both of those. 17th in targets and 10th in receptions. So showing you a pretty good conversion rate there. We are, what now, 9-10 picks away. Chase Edmonds goes to the 9-1 there. His ADP has been surging as well with all the positive community hype that he's been getting. And again, rightfully so. Sony Michel is another sneaky late-round pick that could, carve out a nice niche role in that offense. If you kind of think about it, if you want to play devil's advocate here, I really like Chase Edmonds. I think that in PPR leagues, especially full PPR leagues, the potential there for success and fantasy upside is really, really nice. But then when you step back and you look at the similarities and the comparisons between two kind of average but big-bodied running backs in James Conner and Sony Michel, you can kind of have the light turn on and you're like, holy crap, I saw this happen last year. What if it happens again this year? And I would say that I don't know exactly what James Conner's ADP was last year. I know it was it was a very good value. He was a league-winning player for the value that he gave in return. But I think Sony Michel comes at an even greater discounted draft price. Let's just look up Sony Michel here. Yeah, I could get him in the last round of this league. So that's pretty nuts when you consider that stuff. We are 5 picks away, so I'll pop that board up after these 2 back-to-back picks here. But I just want to make sure that I'm not really missing the boat here on a player that I would really like to get my hands on. So I think based off of how this draft is going, it might be just worth my while. I referenced this earlier. I'm not super in love with these receivers. This is kind of, up until this Christian Watson pick here is kind of, for me, the dead zone for receivers. I would love some shares of Garrett Wilson this season. But I don't think this is going to be the draft that happens. Jameson Williams, as we start to get farther down here, there's some names that I really like, especially in the 13th round, late 12th round. Running back, Kenneth Walker is kind of the last guy that I'll poke around with here at this draft value. Right now, for me, though, Dawson Knox is kind of the top guy on my board. I might draft Kenneth Walker, actually, though, because I still think there's a chance for me to get an Irv Smith. We'll see what happens. Rashad Penny's expected to be the early season starter. If you guys have the Sleeper Fantasy app, they actually just came out with a report that Penny's expected 20-plus carries per game, which just sounds like complete tomfoolery to me. Penny's a nice player. When he's gotten the chance to actually do work on the field, I really got to contemplate this. Hang on, guys. See, to me, I feel like this would just be the cherry on top where I'm not even remotely concerned about my running back position group. What actually could end up happening here, I don't have time. I'm going to draft... All right, I'm going to draft Kenneth Walker here because I'll be more disappointed if he's not on the table at the 10-2. It was a bit of a reach there, but on the bend where you have back-to-back picks here, let's look at he doesn't have a tight end. So it's probably a good chance that Knox goes off the board. I'm not a very big Dallas Goedert fan, for those of you guys who are wondering about that pick there. I basically, he picks Chase Claypool. Okay, this is interesting. And Ramondre Stevenson. So, in other words, that kind of worked out perfectly. I don't expect... I think we're playing a little bit too risky if I'm really going to be that optimistic that Irv Smith is there still. I don't expect that to be the case. Again, with A.J. Brown being introduced into the Dallas Goedert, not Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles offense. I have these two again ranked very, very closely, and I'm just not a huge Dallas Goedert guy for a player who is gonna see. He didn't ever really need a super large amount of volume to produce because he's very good after the catch, very smooth. He kind of reminds me as like the Diet Coke version of Travis Kelce. Like he's not Travis Kelce, but he's also like. Travis isn't super shifty or elusive, but when you watch him just kind of like weave his way through the field, you're like, how is this man making everyone miss the tackle? And then everyone, like, they go on him and they just slide right off. And that's kind of what I see with Dallas Goedert. Just a bit less agile, a bit less athletic, and obviously a less highly coveted player. So, long story short, you've got a guy who is just going to have more competition for targets in the #1 rushing offense in the league. So maybe they won't be #1 again this year, but they'll certainly be top 5. That's just the identity of this team. They want to play smash mouth football. They've got a capable rushing quarterback. They've got a running back in Miles Sanders, who is insanely talented. And they've got a stable of other guys that they're not afraid to hand it to either, in Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, if things don't go great. So there are still lots of receivers I like. That's ultimately, I hate passing on Christian Watson, but I draft him literally almost every single time in these leagues. I would say between Christian Watson and Jerry Jeudy, those are two of my highest target share percentage players. Highest draft share percentages of 2022 fantasy football, plain and simple. So, looking to spice things up a little bit, change up the board here. I am feeling supremely confident in how I've put this team together so far. I didn't love it at the start. It was a bit different, but things are starting to kind of turn out here. I feel really, really good. I mean, if Ken Walker pops down the stretch of the season, I could have a league-winning back paired with 3 other absolute dogs. What do we got? 3 flexes in this league? Pop that board up in a second for you guys. Just 1 flex, 3 receivers and a flex. So I could start 3 running backs every week. Chances are not all 3 of those guys are going to hit, and I'm going to have to lean on these receivers to help me, but I think it'll work out. So popping this up for you guys, kind of recap what we missed here. Derek Carr, really good pick at the quarterback position, actually goes, slightly after Dak Prescott. Okay. Oh, wow. Kirk Cousins goes at the 9-2 ahead of Dak and Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers. That is shocking to me. I actually just recorded. I haven't edited it or posted it yet. Actually, I'm lying. So I post YouTube videos the day after I film them. I post TikToks and short content the day I film them. It's just easier to edit and upload those videos. It's actually harder to edit the TikToks because there's more cuts and all that stuff. But in terms of file size, they just upload a lot more at a friendly pace than a YouTube video does. So I'm filming this on Monday. You guys will see this on Tuesday morning or, later than that if you don't click on it right away. Essentially here, though, the moral of the story is I just recorded, so it hasn't been edited yet, but you'll be seeing it or have access to it well before this video is live, 24 hours roughly. I just recorded a Aaron Rodgers TikTok where I talked about some of the really surprising numbers that he has created without Davante Adams. I'll actually just reference it for you guys. You guys can go check out the TikTok, like it. But he actually he's played 80 games with Davante Adams since 2016. Yet in the 7 games, it's only 7. It's not even a half season worth of sample size, but it's 1 game less than that before the rule change last year to add the extra game. He averages 3.5 more fantasy points per game in those 7 contests without Davante Adams, which equals 24.1 fantasy points per game, than he does where he's at 20.6 with Adams. Crazy stuff. If he does that for 80 games, which he won't, it would be totally mind-boggling. But moral of the story is I think, we might be sleeping a little bit too much on Aaron Rodgers. I pulled those stats from a guy on Instagram. His account's name is Fantasy Guides. I follow him. He's worth a follow for sure. Has really good content on there. Just posts stuff daily with really interesting stats. So definitely go check him out. Again, that's where I pulled those points per game stats from with and without Adams. So great stuff from him. I think his name is Steve. Pretty good analyst there. So go check that stuff out if you guys are, again, looking for another account to follow. Jamison Crowder goes at the 11-8 there. Like that pick. Would have taken him over Jarvis Landry. We're seeing some of those late flyer running backs go. Your Damian Pierces of the world, love those. We're up in 1 pick here, and I have not even remotely been paying attention, which is kind of rough, to be quite honest. We are on the clock. All right, here we go. Jameson Williams is the pick. It was that easy. I had him in the queue, and I have been missing and not able to get Jameson for a long time here. I figured out the key here. When I'm in the early or middle of the draft board, it's too early to pick him at times, and then someone will snipe me when I'm trying to wait for him to come back. His ADP right now is the 12-1 overall pick. I know that because I just made a video on him yesterday. Love the upside. Plain and simple, why can't he be this year's Jalen Waddle? I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's awesome, but he was a 4th-round pick, and he can only dream of having the athletic intangibles and upside that you get when you draft a guy like Jameson Williams. So I want to draft Tua here as my QB2. I want to say that that's a fair way to go about things. He just has to be an elite ball distributor. Let's check the bye weeks. 11 and 11. So that's not going to work. I'm going to slide down here then and draft Jalen Tolbert. Ooh, did I get him? Yes, I did. Ooh, at the horn there. Jalen Tolbert, another guy I talked about yesterday. I'm spoiling the guys that I'm talking about, but if you want the actual in-depth statistical metric pulling and all that great stuff, the deep dive per se, go check out that video. It's 3. I literally just referenced all 3 throughout this video. So if you're skipping around, you won't know who all of them are, but I didn't draft them all. I drafted 2 of them, though. I talked 3 must-have rookie wide receiver sleepers for redraft. Tolbert's a guy who I want more shares of. I've got a quite healthy amount of Van Jefferson, who I actually have ranked just 1 spot above him. Again, I did a rankings overhaul for redraft yesterday. And the draft guide cheat sheet, it's a printable PDF form, is actually live for you guys as well now. I still have to input the bye week information into there, but by the time you're seeing this video, that should most definitely be live. So, moral of the story, Jalen Tolbert and Van Jefferson both possess similar upside. They have the ability to stretch the field vertically. And if Tolbert, it would surprise me. His college breakout age wasn't until his age 20 and a half marker of his season. So, and he played at a smaller level of competition for schooling. That's a bit of a red flag and a concern, but with Michael Gallup trying to recoup and recover from injury, you're going to have, obviously, a bit of rust. We're anticipating that with Chris Godwin on this team. And if Jalen Tolbert can step up and take advantage of that opportunity day one, carve out a role for himself year long, that could be big-time stuff for this team. Especially, we're, 6 wide receivers deep now. I think by the end of the season, that group should be looking pretty nice. I would say week 1, I don't know how much upside we have with this position group. It'll all kind of depend on how Christian Kirk pans out for the Jags, as well as how quickly Juju can get the ball rolling. Really, the only surefire asset we have for week 1 is Deontay Johnson, if we're being totally honest with ourselves here. So, some more work is probably needed at that wide receiver position. Good news is we only really, in terms of drafting depth here, we really only need to address what we've got. 6 selections left, or is it 7? 6. 6 picks left in today's draft. Only 2 of those have to be devoted to our tight end and QB2s. Other than that, we've got 4 picks. I know I could go 3 receivers, 1 running back. Feel really strong about that running back group. Or I could go 2 and 2 there. There'll be some options for us in the last round at quarterback, so I'm not really too worried about that. I'm going to prioritize some receiver play here. I'll pop that draft board back up for you guys here. Let's take a look at that. One thing I could do for you guys as well, and I actually don't know why I haven't thought of this yet, I could draft off of my phone and just leave the board up for you guys the whole video. I could probably pop open this window here and then just show you guys the draft board while I pick off my phone. You guys wouldn't really be able to see the queue in terms of who is on the board still, but I could, just pop out the old phone. Check this out, you guys. Got the SFS. Oh, actually, that's probably all goofed up looking for you guys because of my chroma key on the green screen. So the SFS logo is definitely blurred out there. I've got an SFS phone case, though. Sizzlefancy.com. You guys can check out the SFS shop and get one for yourself. 25% off when you guys sign up for the SFS mailing list on that website. It literally just sends you guys coupon codes. That's all I use that for. So, we'll see what happens here. Again, 6 picks left on today's draft board. We've got our first kind of buzzer beater. Actually, not a buzzer beater. They got auto pick there. I got to start game planning here, though. Where do I? Okay, Tyron Davis-Price. Really, I would be comfortable not picking a running back the rest of this draft if I got Tyron Davis-Price here. If I want week 1 value, there's no better pick than Sammy Watkins for a guy who's just going to, pump and dump. He's going to do great things week 1 and then never be heard of the rest of the season. Could be an option for me. We are in the late 13th round. I can't believe Tyron Davis-Price hasn't gone yet. His ADP is in the 13th round. Last I checked, at least. Hey, we're going to have our pick of Tyron Davis-Price if you want him. Again, I'd be comfortable leaving that position group as is. Marlon Mack's another good day 1 pick, but we've got our day 1 running backs locked and loaded here. So that should do it for the running back position. I literally think that moved our projection like 0. This is the biggest hoax in best ball, by the way, guys. Upside is not really calculated into projected point values. So you are definitely looking at a situation where if you're basing this off of projected numbers, you're probably going to lose your league because more often than not, those don't work out so hot. Man, I might go Sammy Watkins here. It seems dumb because I have little to no faith in him long term this season, but I think he'll get a swing at starting, and I think that again, week 1, he's the king. Sammy Watkins is the CEO of week 1 fantasy upside. Like, this man will go out there and have a great game, and then he'll just disappear once he gets a few nagging injuries. So, I don't know. Sneaky pick. I haven't really been paying much attention to bye weeks here. That could become an issue. And it looks like through the grace of the fantasy football gods, I have not screwed myself today, which is kind of surprising. Ooh. Where did I see my man? Cam Brate. I would love as my tight end too. Touchdown upside, baby. That's all you need at tight end. And stacking him with Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., little Skip Bayless moment there, would just be great. I'd have the wide receiver and tight end stack here. I'd feel great. I couldn't be more excited to have that. We'll see if he falls to us. I do want to go through the queue here. I'm sorry, you guys. I want to put up the draft board, but I also want to, have a game plan together here of what guys I want to be targeting. I like me some Alec Pierce, that's for sure. Marvin Jones is old as dirt, but he can play football. He's a good field stretcher. Later in the draft here, honestly, AJ Green's, Devin Duvernay, nice sleeper. Isaiah McKenzie is kind of a sneaky shot here. John Mechie's ADP is tanking. I'd honestly rather have Terrace Marshall or John Mechie than Isaiah McKenzie at this point. Man. And, the rest of the receiver room is pretty bleak at this point. James Prochet has ADP still. That's kind of funny, actually. I suppose he could see more playing time. Danny Gray. Seems like the San Francisco 49ers are the CEOs of randomly picking middle-round receivers. Let's go. Sony. I'll queue up Sony. The thing I don't like about Underdog, what I wish they would implement into their system is, and I kind of get the personalization mechanism of this, but instead of rearranging, I could be wrong. I haven't played a league on ESPN in a few years. I like Sleeper now. That's actually a lie. I do play one league every year on ESPN, but I don't spend very much time on it. So it didn't even come to mind right away. I do like Fantasy Cast. Okay, so while I'm just turning on ESPN here, I do love Fantasy Cast. I 1,000% every week have Fantasy Cast pulled up watching NFL Red Zone while I watch the games. Once everything's completed, literally we're talking 11 straight hours of watching football, I sit down, I go to NFL's YouTube page, and I watch all the film that they post access to, and then I sit down at midnight, record Monday morning's videos. It's a grind, but it is so fun. So my eyes hurt by the end of it, especially when I'm tired and then I've been watching a screen all day and I've got this big studio lamp up in front of me. It turns into quite the experience. But where was I even going with this? Man, I was literally just talking about our in-season posting schedule. I am totally lost now. Oh, okay. We're back. So I was dumping on ESPN, and then I was going to talk about a feature I think they have, but I'm not entirely sure because, again, in terms of drafting on ESPN, not really something I'm doing. I believe, though, that when you add players to your queue, it doesn't put them in the order you added them to your queue. It adjusts them based off of ADP. Why do I care about that? Because obviously, as someone who dives as deep and does as much research in the fantasy space as I do, I don't really care as much about consensus rankings. However, that doesn't speak as much to everyone else. There is an art to not only liking your players, but also knowing when to draft them. I like DeAndre Swift as my RB5 overall in fantasy, but you won't see me draft him in the top half of the first round, despite the fact that that's where I value him at, because I know I can draft another top 12 asset before I even have to think about drafting DeAndre Swift, because his ADP is 14th overall. He's not going at the 5th pick. Why would I draft him there if there's still a shot that I get him later? Now, if I'm drafting 8th or 9th and I don't think that there's a good shot that he falls back to me after the turnaround, I'll take the plunge, I'll hit the draft button, I'll do it. But again, it's nice to see that numeric value go in order, because we go from 181 to 68, 97, 203, 203, 209. When I go down the board and place them in order, it works out fairly nicely. But again, the point being here is that for organizational purposes, it's more pleasing to my eyes to be able to see what players should be coming off the board next, because then that helps me not get sniped by guys that look at those ADP numbers. Again, it's an art form here. That's why we do the must-own players in each round, because those are the rounds you want to be drafting them in. Sometimes, if I like a player on the cusp or on the fringe in the draft guides, what I'll do is I'll put them as a must-own player in the round beforehand, because I know that if you're not drafting at the very top of that next round, you're not going to get that player. So we do a lot of strategic thinking here, putting our glasses on, making ourselves look real smart here. You guys probably think I'm an idiot. That's fine. If you guys want to try and crush me in a fantasy league, promo code SFS on Underdog, get my draft guide free, and join some leagues with me. I'll join as many of them as you guys want me to. Love playing fantasy football with you guys, and appreciate the heck out of you all for supporting me. If you're still watching the video at this point, you are an absolute legend here of the SFS community. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8 deep at the receiver position. Still in need of some reserve players here. So I will be drafting Cam Brate here. I just unqueue everything. Yeah, it's Cam Brate or bust at this point. I would probably draft Evan Ingram over Hayden Hurst. No, I wouldn't. I would draft Hayden Hurst. And now that I'm thinking back to my rankings, I've got Hayden Hurst a little higher. You can pencil down Evan Ingram. Wow. Evan Ingram is gone. You can pencil him down to miss some games or to just be inconsistent as hell and really frustrating. The one thing that could kind of throw a curveball at us and kind of screw us over in terms of the usage of Cam Brate here would be Cade Otton, a rookie who I really, really like from Washington. There's that kid. He's actually really annoying. If you follow him on Instagram, I think he's called Baby Gronk. Cade Otton is like the man-child of Gronk. Like, he's not Rob Gronkowski. He's not as athletic. Cade Otton reminds me, like, Cade Otton's ceiling is what Gronk has been the last couple of years. Like, he is not Rob as a Patriot, as the most dominant tight end in football, but kind of this, like, big-bodied, clunky red zone threat that just kind of boxes guys out and is actually decent in the run game. That's kind of who Cade Otton is. He could come into this system here and take over and totally make Cameron Brate obsolete, but I really like that stack there because I think I've got 2 guys with some high TD upside and really good passing offenses. Actually, probably 2 of the top 3 passing volume offenses, so we're going to get opportunities. This team very well could win this league, which is something that is always a possibility, but I feel very comfortable saying that with this team because I'm so pleased with how the draft board went. And we might not have the most slam dunk players at the wide receiver position, but I've really tried to do is make calculated decisions here. Really try and build out this group. If this top 3 core hits, I'm going to highlight it. It's probably going to look kind of gross, but Chris Godwin if he can get back by the end of the season to what we hope he can be and what we know he's been in the past. Juju Smith-Schuster, if he realizes his potential, comes back to fruition with Kansas City, and Deontay Johnson, if he maintains what he has been the last couple of years, that's a really good top 3 core, especially not even to mention if a guy like a Christian Kirk or a Jameson Williams, a Jalen Tolbert, any of these guys hit on their upside. Alec Pierce is a much lesser guarantee, but for the number 2 deep passing accuracy quarterback, Matt Ryan, last year, I love the back shoulder and fade ball ability that he brings to the table for this team. So I like a lot of stuff here. These receivers at this draft spot are totally gross. I mean, Will Fuller, Julio Jones, not on teams. Kendrick Bourne, situational player. Curtis Samuel, probably demoted to the wide receiver 3 spot. And New York, who is even going to start here? You've got Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, who I really like, but I think his Achilles issue. Let's check on his ADP here. Yeah, 215. I really like Sterling Shepard. He was really good early last season before the Giants' offense totally fell apart, and then late in the year he ruptured his Achilles and fell off the face of the earth. So unfortunate for a guy in his late 20s. He's a really talented slot receiver, and someone who's just kind of had concussion and hamstring issues all throughout his career. It's really unfortunate. I like him a lot, but so maybe we can rule him out of the situation just a little bit here. Okay, so we've got. Hang on, I want to. Okay, I'm just out here making noise, and you guys are like, "What is going on?" I really want Sony Michel. If I can get him with that 206 pick, I will do it. I did say we were done drafting running backs after we took TDP there. I'll take one more shot. Who do I want at receiver is really the question. It would have to be Duvernay, or it would have to be Terrace Marshall, or it would have to be John Mechie. Sleepers. That's all it is, baby. Dudes with nice potential and upside. Duvernay's got a really nice shot to be the 2 in Baltimore. They should be a bit more run-centric this year, just with all the guys they're getting back. They should have a more balanced approach. They were the number 1 seed in the AFC. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I just got a business email, so I was just reading that. So, essentially, where was I? Okay. We were here with Devin Duvernay. So the Ravens should be a bit more balanced because they're going to be getting a lot of guys back from injury. They lost Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. They lost at one point Marlon Humphrey. They lost Marcus Peters in the preseason. And who's their other corner that's actually pretty good? Tavon Young. I don't think that's right. They've got another pretty good corner who played in the slot for them. I believe, did they have Jimmy Smith last year? He might have got injured too. They literally lost everybody. Like, it was insanity in terms of how much they lost on that team. Offensive line got banged up. Lamar twisted his ankle on a fluky play. They were so decimated with injuries. Definitely the number 1 team last year with IR placements. So you've got a situation where, you've got a lot that should be coming back and right, which could lower the passing ceiling of that offense. Mechie is really interesting to me because as a big slot option, you've got Cooks and Collins outside. He could be a really nice safety blanket for Davis Mills. That might be where I go here. Week 6 buys, don't look like they're going to be a huge deal for this team. I really want Sony Michel, but I have to pick at least one quarterback here, and it's going to be Jared Goff at this spot because I've got him as a sleeper for this year, and let's see, week 6 and week 11, that lines up fine. We're good to draft Goff. No problems there. Okay, so it really comes down to what is more urgent for this team. The running back would certainly be more valuable. He honestly might actually be gone. Yeah, Michelle's gone. So the decision was made for me. Don't have to worry about it, you guys. I must have missed that when I was looking at my phone. So we are good to draft. And did John Mechie go too? He did. All right. So the decision in the end of the day is made for us. It will. I'm just going to check through here for the last pick of the draft for us. Yep, it'll be James Washington. Devin Duvernay. I just read his name down there at the bottom of the screen. Funny enough, so we have those top 300 player profiles on sizzlefantasy.com. We literally have a James Washington profile. And oddly enough, I mean, I totally forgot he even signed with the Cowboys, but when I was just kind of looking through teams and players that have a decent opportunity, that Gallup injury opened him up to be one of the final guys that ended up getting a profile on this year's website. But that was our 18-round draft. That was very, very fun stuff. That was a lot of good drafting for today. I'm very, very comfortable with this team. I'll do a quick recap for you guys. We've got Tom Brady and Jared Goff at the quarterback position. Really like that stack. TB12 should hopefully start for this team every single week. But Jared Goff, we didn't really talk about it when we made the picks. We were distracted. We were looking at the last round picks here. Goff is a guy who, you look at the weapons and the offensive line that he has surrounding him, could have one of his best seasons in a while here. Since obviously his days with the Rams and obviously like the high points he had with that team, Jameson Williams underneath is a playmaker, and he's going to make a lot. We've actually got their stack here with Jameson Williams now that I think about it. You've got the opportunity for him to throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, TJ Hawkinson. Honestly, Khalif Raymond has a gadget role to be a playmaker. DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams out of the backfield. And again, a very highly rated offensive line. I think that can be a really strong QB2 play this year. I'm a little surprised his ADP is so low, but he's not necessarily the flashy pick, which I think is how he lands that later draft capital. 5 running backs, feeling really good about that position group. Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, James Conner, Ken Walker, and Tyron Davis-Price. Potentially 3 RB1s on this team. I mean, the upside is there. Ken Walker, if he, goes totally nuts, could maybe get in that group as well. But, there's always a chance with Rashad Penny's injury history. And then Tyron Davis-Price, just a high upside value pick to, Elijah Mitchell missed 6 games as a rookie. And for a guy who is that small, they're going to run him into the dirt. He'll be great when he's starting, but Tyron Davis-Price slimmed down a little bit. I think there's an opportunity that he gets some run here and is the guy that they hoped Trey Sermon would be last year. I'm about to get switched over, so I'm going to talk through tight ends before wide receivers, our biggest group of the day. Dawson Knox and Cam Brate obviously give us some really nice touchdown upside and opportunity for red zone production between Brate and TB12, Josh Allen and Dawson Knox. Obviously, Dawson was that breakout tight end a season ago. And then you've got that situation where, both of these guys were, fairly low picks in the 110th overall pick, got some value on Knox there, drafted Brate about ADP value. Receiver is really what's going to make or break this team. I am very confident in quarterback, running back, and tight end. But if Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Chris Godwin do what I think they can do, this team will be locked and loaded for a deep playoff run. Christian Kirk and Jameson Williams, 2 high upside pieces. Kirk could be the wide receiver 1 for Trevor Lawrence. Jameson Williams could break out and, again, be that Jalen Waddle type player for this season, even at a more discounted rate. Jalen Tolbert, Sammy Watkins, Alec Pierce, and Devin Duvernay are all just kind of dartboard throws. They're calculated. There's reasoning behind each pick. Could be the wide receiver 2 in Denver for Duvernay. Alec Pierce could be the wide receiver 2 in Indianapolis and have some really great deep ball productivity with Matt Ryan, who was very good in that area last season. Sammy Watkins, early season producer, could kind of give us some flexibility in that lineup when Chris Godwin's recovering. He might be available week 1, but he also might not be 100%. And then Jalen Tolbert, a guy who also has a chance to be a week 1 producer for Dallas in the event that Michael Gallup isn't really able to take on that full workload. So I apologize. My dog is barking in the background of today's video. That was our 18-round mock draft. Let me know what format you want to see me guys do next. I'm not opposed to hopping over to Sleeper and joining a league with you guys there. Not a league, but just a mock draft for you guys. And then we will also be diving into a lot more underdog drafts here as we get into late July and August. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Go check out some of the links in the description of today's video. Make sure to like today's video before you head out. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you next time. Peace out.